Bullseye.
Life is good.
All right. All right. This thing turned off. Yakking 45 here, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills of Tennessee. Yes, you can see them. They're green, can't you? Yes, the home of Johnny Cash. We're going to claim him too. And everybody else that's lived here. Yes, if they put foot on Tennessee dirt, we're going to claim them. Yep, that's the new plan here. Not going to worry about where somebody was born. I mean, that's irrelevant. If you step foot into Tennessee, you're a Tennessean, right? Well, as long as you like Tennessee. Now, if you're somebody coming through and you hate guns, you hate woods, trees, freedom, and all that, no, we won't claim you, but we'll claim anybody that likes the state, okay, pretty much. So glad you're here. I'm here. You see this nice Winchester Model 92. Yeah, I'm being Lucas McCain, the Rifleman this week, without the big loop lever, which I hate. I know that's sacrilegious. If you're not a shooter, you haven't handled lever guns, and you love watching the Rifleman and John Wayne with his big loop levers, you probably think, well, Hickok, yeah, I watch your videos. I kind of like you a little bit. But man, you just are clueless if you don't like big levers. Don't you know they're extra, ultra cool? Yeah, well, not when you handle them, at least not for me. Don't like them. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, Model 92, and hopefully you've seen this one. It's one of my favorites, believe it or not, and it's not the most valuable, that's for sure. To me, value is very relative. The value of an item to me is really largely what I can do with it. You know, I don't have safe queens. You know that, man. I shoot some firearms that most people would not even fire. They're afraid they'd reduce the value of it or whatever. No, the value to me is literally the value to me on the range, pulling a trigger, enjoying a firearm. Okay. And now sometimes that value is embodied in an older antique historical rifle or something, shotgun muzzleloader. The fact that it's very old and was used in the Civil War or in the 1880s or whatever, I mean, that adds to it, adds to the enjoyment value for me, shooting something that's really old, that's been handed down that long. But I mean, mainly the value is in my enjoyment of it. So how to get off on all that? I don't know. Yeah, man, that's a cool gun. It's still got a few rounds in it, but if you noticed, if you were paying attention, as I do with, well, especially bolt guns and well, single actions of, single action revolvers. Can do it, of course, with double action revolvers, sort of, if you don't pull the trigger again. But lever guns, bolt guns especially, I just leave a dead round. I don't jack another round in unless I'm going to fire it. That's just a rule of thumb. Now, if I were in battle, it might be different. But as I'm walking around, I'm on the range, or I'm shooting, when I pull the trigger, unless I'm going to shoot again, fire another round, I don't immediately rack another round in. Okay? That might be different from Lucas McCain. Of course, he's always in an engagement with somebody, right? Yeah, this is the old, you've seen it. Everybody comments on the sights being on backwards. Somebody did that on purpose, and either for their eyes or, as I understand, some of the old cowboys would do that, turn them around. Cowboys from the old days, there's still cowboys around, right? If you work with cows, you're a cowboy, I guess. Hey, when I was a boy, we had 3 or 4 cows, calves, yeah, took care of. I guess I was a boy and I took care of cows. I was a cowboy. I didn't have a horse. But they would, I read that they would sometimes turn them around like that too because of the, what was it, the scabbard. Something about the scabbard. What was it? They wouldn't hang up on the scabbard or something. I don't know. And then maybe it's a little bit like a scout rifle. It gets that sight out there a little further. I don't know. But it was done intentionally. Okay, it's not like someone forgot and put it on backwards. I don't think. And this is the one. It's an actual 357 Magnum. How's that for a Winchester 92? You think John Wayne's 92 or Lucas McCain's 92 was a 357 Magnum? I don't think so. Well, it could have been in the movies. Of course, it could have been anything, right? But this one probably started out as a 32-20, and it was probably, a lot of these, as I understand, were sent back to the factory to Winchester to be bored out to 38 caliber, 357 Magnum in the 50s. That was very popular chambering. And then too, this one, let's see, what's the date on this one? This one's, I got two of these. One of them is like made in 1917. I think that was this one. And the other one was 29. No, that's a 30-30. Oh well, I'll have to look it up. Yeah, I know, I'm embarrassed. I should be embarrassed when I have so many cool guns and I forget the dates. And yeah, it's not a dementia thing. It's a too many guns thing. I should be ashamed. But so it is 357 Max. It says right on it. And of course I knew that going in when I saw it in the gun shop a few years back. I said, let me see that. What is that? A 92? Yeah. And I looked at it and I said, wait a minute, 357 Magnum, Model 92, that's obviously a worn serial number, an old one. And so it had been rebored, but the barrel is, looks like original, and, the gun's original. And it's been rebored to 357, so I had to think about whether or not I would be caught dead with something like this, an original Winchester made 100 years ago, and chambered in 357 Magnum. How ridiculous is that, Well, not too ridiculous. I thought about it. Well, I actually got this for less, a fair amount less, than I would have paid for, say, a Uberti or a new Winchester or something, chambered in 357 Magnum. Like half. I think I paid $600 or $700 for this thing. And a Uberti, these new lever guns, a lot of them they start at $1,000, $1,200, $1,300, And to get a 357 Magnum, and a lot of people walking around breathing like that right now, think, man, I'd love to have a lever gun in 357 because I've got a couple of revolvers or something, or 44 Magnum or something. But nobody chambered them in those calibers back in the old days. If I found an old. And so they're looking for a newer one, a Uberti or something, and often, now Rossi makes them, I think, a little more reasonably priced, I guess, still, although they've kind of upped their game, haven't they? So anyway, my point is, well, I'd rather have this that's been rebored, got the original barrel, and everything's original, except some of the metal's missing. In the barrel, right? If it's been bored out a little bit, I'd rather have this for $6 or $7 than one of those, an Italian-made rifle for $12 or $13 or $15 or whatever I have to pay for it. So there you go. Just justifying my purchase. Okay, justifying my purchase, even though the firearm, in many eyes, has been adulterated. It's been modified. It's like taking an old coin and putting steel wool to it to shine it up or something, But it made it so usable. If it had been 32-20, I had no interest in it at any price. I mean, sorry, nothing against 32-20, but I don't know where you can get that ammo, of course, but there's no reason to be out prowling around for a 32-20. But I'm sure it's a great cartridge. So anyway, just justifying, my decision, trying to sound smart. That's what I did. can I finish it? It's got a couple of rounds in it. Before I do that, I want to thank Alabama Holster too. Great little Kydex holsters, concealment holsters, belt holsters, inside the waistband, outside the waistband, purse holsters I've talked about, my purse holster, pocket holsters, and I've been using them for a lot of years. So they're a great company and great people. I'm gonna take a shot, and wow, I determined it was so accurate that I might shoot Alabama Holster, the state of Alabama, right there in the middle. Yeah, wow, such accuracy. I actually missed the gong a couple times. I think I was holding too low on it. Let me try that again. Yeah, that one didn't have enough powder in, did it? I didn't have many rounds left back in there, did I? Yeah. Again, that's a good problem to have. How many times have you seen me not being sure where to hold on the gong? Well, again, different gun every week, every day. I got something else out here. Bought a new 617. The one I brought out last week got a little bit of dirt on it, so I went and bought another one. And this one pretty. Look at those grips. Isn't that neat? That's cool. So that's when you got too many guns. When one gets dirty, you just buy another one. That was a joke. One of you left a comment last Sunday's video about, what did you say, that you ought to put some wood grips on that, or I've got wood grips on mine, or something like that. And it hit me. I can't believe I hadn't even thought of that. Because it came with those rubber Hogue or whatever they are. They feel fine. And I thought, wood grips. Yeah, that's a K or an L frame. I think it's a K frame, actually. I think I said L frame last week because of the underload. But I think the frame is actually K frame, right? I don't know. K, either way, they take the same grips, the K and L frame Smiths, just for your information. File that one away. And I mean, that was just a light went off in my brain when I saw that comment, because I took these grips off. These are, what are these called? Combat Magnum or something like that. And they're real expensive. Go on Gunbroker and look for some, I think they're Combat Magnum or whatever they call it. And they have the finger grooves, they're round butt, and they extend a little bit. They feel like $1 million. And I never really had any of them on a pistol of mine. The first one I got, let's see, it was when I bought that, yeah, come think of it, the 686 4-inch, a lot like this, right? It had them on it, and I still have them on it, don't I? Yeah, I think so. And then I bought the 66, the Model 66, 2.5-inch barrel. Had it out recently, in fact, and it had these on it. These came on it. Okay, but that thing is a 2.5-inch barrel, and I've talked about this recently, I think, with y'all maybe. A really short barrel, and then these big grips. They had this little gun with these big grips, so I put boot grips on it. Nice grips, wooden grips. You may have seen those already. I took these off, and they've just been lying around. And I don't know why I didn't think before to put them on this one. Perfect, because it's got a longer barrel. It's a heavier gun, bigger gun, than that. And it's not a carry gun either, so if they stick out a little bit, it doesn't matter. It's a heavy gun, and I mean, it just feels great. I mean, I like this gun a whole lot better now. So there you go. I mean, I've had this gun in the safe I rarely get out, and these grips were in fact lying on top of one of my safes for months, year or two probably, and I could have matched them up anytime and liked this gun a whole lot better, and I didn't even know it until one of you left that comment. So I might just load it up and shoot it. So, you never know. That's the interesting thing about the shooting world. There are so many firearms and areas of shooting, something for everybody. And then if you get a little bit tired, like we guys sometimes too, of something we're doing and ready for a change, do something else, there's always a different type of shooting, a different firearm, a different caliber. There's just, no end to that, is there? Things you can't do as easily with, I don't know, a lot of guys, especially like cars, get into cars. But cars are pretty expensive, So it's a little more difficult to have a couple of different cars you like, whether they're race cars or just whatever, around town cars, and then you the weird, I think I want a different car, I want a pickup truck, and this guy, you do that and you'd be broke, right? Before long, trading cars too often, that sort of thing. But with guns, you can have more of them and you can have variety. You may be in the mood to shoot muzzle loaders this fall or something, and then you get in the mood to shoot your revolvers and maybe go shoot skeet, or take your longer range rifle to the range and shoot that some, and you just kind of go through cycles, at least I do. So yeah, I like this firearm. Now the big question though is, as with anything in terms of firearms, how accurate are these grips? So let's see how accurate they are. I'll shoot the SDI badge. All right, look pretty good at close range. We'll try a 2-liter. Okay, not bad. They must have the right amount of wood on both sides. Okay, see if we can hit the gong. I don't know if I'll hear it. Maybe you will. I heard it. All right, pretty good grips. Yeah, I've had grips that were just not very accurate. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's the varnish they put on them. You think? All right. Some of you are sitting back thinking, "Oh man, I knew the day would come. The guy's gotten so old. He's worse than our president. He has totally lost his mind. He is suffering from an acute case, chronic case of dementia." Right? That's what you're thinking right now. Yeah, I shouldn't do that because I mess with people that are so inexperienced with firearms. When I talk about a 1911 magazine being more accurate than another one, and I just can't help it. I'm sorry. I did that every day with my 7th graders when I was teaching middle school, and I had so much fun. It's how I got through teaching all those years, because it was so much fun having a captive audience to pick on. So what do you want to know about? Anything? Well, speaking of this, many of you passed the quiz. Yeah, a lot of you did. You commented because I asked. There you go. Speaking of dementia, I remember I said something about asking you why this was heavier than my 686 or whatever. It's the same size, And then I got to shooting and I forgot to come back to the answer. So most of you knew. Now some of you might not have, and if you haven't looked in the comments, you are still wondering. You're probably losing sleep. You're lying awake at night wondering. I still wonder why that gun is lighter that Hickok had out on Sunday. Well, for those people, I should make you go to the comments and see, because 6 or 7 people answered it. But yeah, same size gun, but smaller holes in the cylinder, smaller hole in the barrel. What does that mean? Smaller hole, more steel, right? Because the outside dimensions are the same. Okay, it's like if you take just a bar of steel that's big around, you bore a big hole in it like a shotgun, and it's not going to be that heavy. But if you bore a little hole in it, you didn't take out much steel. Guess what? It's going to be heavy. So, and that's one reason I mentioned to somebody, I have never liked a Colt single action, any single action revolver, and small caliber, the feel of it, the weight of it. You hand me a 45 Colt single action, and even 4 3/4, even in a short barrel, and if it's a 357 38 chambering, it doesn't feel quite right to me, because I'm used to it being 45, having less metal in that barrel, because the outside dimensions are going to be the same. And not as bad with a 4 3/4, but when you get to a 5.5 inch barrel on a Colt, if you hand me one you've got in this chamber in 38, and there are a lot of them out there in 38 or something, and it does feel barrel heavy to me. It doesn't feel balanced to me. Yeah, it really doesn't. If you give me a 7.5 inch barrel that's a 38, it really feels weird, like a really heavy barrel. So, I don't know. The thing was meant to be 45, I guess. That's the first ones were, right? So that's just a little physics lesson there. That again, just no charge for that. You know, should be charging you all, but I don't. I never do it. I got that thing dirty again. Well, I'll have to shoot it, I guess. Right? Keep shooting it. So also, some of you mentioned the camera about well, there were different comments about it being, yeah, camera's really good. I can see the spider webs on your hat and wherever that was, you know, and all this kind of thing. And but I think a lot of it, the difference last week, this may have a little bit better resolution, but I mean, we've got it set on about the same. I don't know, but it's like not a dramatically different camera, just a newer model of the same thing. But last week I was earlier in the day, and the sun was coming down on me, and that makes a big difference, the lighting. Those of you who do videos of any kind, on any kind of regular basis, you're filming or doing a lot of photography, know what I'm talking about. The lighting messes with things, of course, right? And we're not into the highest production values. We don't worry about it too much. The biggest problem we have is on the main range, and it happened yesterday, or it happens every day almost, that we do a video in the afternoon there. The one nice thing about being over here, like right now, I'd have that problem on the main range. That's why it's nice to do the Sunday videos over here. I can do them anytime, you know, after whatever, 11, 12 o'clock in the day even. But over there, it needs to be like later in the afternoon, late. Like 5 o'clock or something, yeah, because of the differential in lighting. On the range, the targets out there, now not the first targets, but out in the woods, you know, at 20, 30, 40, 50, 180 yards, whatever, they are in the shade, but the light's blaring down, the sun's blaring down on the shooting table and in the close part of the range, and, you know, and on me. And so it's not too bad, but it's just not ideal. So we usually wait until the shade comes over the shooting table. Not always. And sometimes we get fooled. We'll think it's cloudy, and like yesterday it was cloudy. We were about to film, and then the sun came out, and so we had to wait a couple hours. But so anyway, it's an issue. Yeah, I knew you were worried about that. Well, inside baseball. And it's the weird thing we've dealt with for 15 years, you know, 16, is because the sun keeps setting in the same place. It does. It sets in the west where I live. I don't know about where you live. And it's interesting, the lighting, speaking of that, because it's different in the spring, summer, fall, and everything else. For one thing, the sun's in a different place, right? In the evening or afternoon, it's more like over here, and right now it's over that way. So it's coming from a different angle. And of course, you got the different time, you know, it's setting earlier and all that sort of thing. Then one of the biggest factors are the leaves on the trees. So in the winter, when there's no leaves on the trees, that's different. Sometimes the sun's not as big an issue because it's coming through the trees more, and the entire range is in the light. So not as big a deal. There's not as much of a difference between the close part of the range shooting table and out at the turkeys and animals, you know. So we can go ahead maybe and film and get a better effect. But when the leaves are on, it's pretty shady, really shady, you know, on the distant part of the range, yeah, versus the sun blaring down on the other part. And I'm not going to charge you for that information. So what was I about to shoot again? Yeah, this thing. I was about to load it up. Anything else you want to know about? Gosh, you don't have a lot this week, I don't think. I got some advice though for young people. That's about it, and I'll shoot some more. Probably get out of here. Also, yeah, I'm a little early this week because probably when you see me right now, probably as you're looking at me right now, I'm just getting back home. Isn't that weird? From Friendship, going to the National Muzzleloading Shoot in Friendship, Indiana, or I did, is what I mean. and hung out there, and I might have seen you, and you don't even know it yet. In fact, I don't even know it yet. I probably met some of you that are watching this right now, and I just don't know it. It's not a part of my memory yet. It will be, though, when you see this, okay? It's not right now for me, but it is for you. So, pretty weird, huh? Twilight Zone. Where's Rod Serling? Where's Rod? So, yeah, I wasn't going to go, wasn't sure, because I gotten where I just don't, if I don't get there the first weekend, I just almost will not go, because I went up one time the second weekend of it, and a lot of people had closed up shop and everything, and I was not going back to that, learn my lesson. Well, I guess I haven't learned my lesson, because I'm going up, and then we'll see. I'll let you know next week if it was a lesson I needed to learn better. But I think the weather's going to be okay, so that surely everybody will be there. Right, I get the black powder fever. I always get that when I go up there, if I don't already have it. All right, let's shoot this thing. There's a neat old gun. Yeah, it really is. Been beat up and carried around, probably on horseback, you know, the sight and the scabbard, and there's not any finish left on that thing anywhere. That's okay. To me, it has more character than almost any of my other firearms. All right, got some real Magnums in it now. Oh, they're not accurate enough to blow out to it. You have to hit it, don't you? I'll be darned. Let's shoot that hog. All right, got that hog. Speaking of ammo, I've been shooting some hand loads and some jacketed rounds. Appreciate Wideners.com, our new ammo sponsor. Check out Wideners.com. Look in the description, and you'll see the Hickok 45 coupon code there, and check them out. Get you some ammo. There's a discount there. All right. I've ordered from them a bunch of times, and it's here within a couple of days, so really good service. Let's see if we hit that buffalo. All right, I heard it. I heard it. I didn't hear that one. Shot high. All right, got him again. Went high. Oh, got him. All right. That's fun. All right, Magnums, jacketed, 158 grain jacketed ammo. That is the classic 357 Magnum, 158 grain bullet. There's a lot of good bullets, lighter and heavier, but you know, there are certain rounds you'll learn if you're just getting into shooting. Classic bullet weights. I've talked a little bit about that, like in 44, the 240 grain is kind of the classic. Lots of good ones, heavier and lighter. 38, 357, 158 grain bullets, kind of the classic. 45 Colt, I guess 250, 255 grain. You know, 4570, 405 grain. You know, you're right on down the line with every cartridge, right? So, yeah, I really like my 617 now. That is so. It just feels great. It feels great. Anybody else have those? I think they're called the combat grips or combat Magnum or something. And like I say, they're really pricey. If you look for some, $300-400 or something, and they just happen to be on two different firearms that I purchased recently, and it's good to have them. And didn't know they could feel so good. Now they are big. I wouldn't want them on a little bitty carry revolver, you know, but boy, they feel good on just a shooter range gun or house gun, whatever. So, all right, advice. Yeah, something came to me. I was driving along about procrastination. Yeah, and so many of us are guilty of that. In fact, I've got a book on procrastination. I've just never gotten around to reading it. How's that for a funny joke? I actually do have that book. I bought it 20, 30 years ago, and it was a while before I got around to reading it. And I know what I did. I ran across a saying somewhere, a Chinese proverb, which I'd seen before. You've probably seen. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. That's a good one to file away. Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. That'd be a good one if you're a really bad procrastinator like most of us. Put that over the doorway, right? And I always think about when I see that of my, give those lectures to John over the years and my students and everything else. I put off planting. I was going to plant shrubs or some kind of cedars as a privacy screen, around the road on my place, or parts of it and everything. I just put it off, and every year I think to come up on the fall, I'm like, I gotta get some pine trees going over there, and create a wall so I can't see the cars, and all that. I'd put it off year after year and never did. And I finally got the idea of some bamboo. I finally got some bamboo and put that in there, and it took 2, 3, 4 years for it to give me the privacy I wanted. It's still not quite there, but it's almost there now. And I'm talking about in the winter, especially, when all the leaves are off, and the bamboo stays green year round, and it's creased like the evergreen would do because it's evergreen. And I think about that. If I hadn't have done that 7, 8 years ago, I still would be in the same place. So like the very best time to have done that would have been 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I've been here 35 years, and I just didn't do it. But you put things off, and nothing gets done, and you don't get the benefit, right? And it's, again, I'm not a financial advisor, okay? Disclaimer, but it's the same with that, boy. I talk about this every now and then. You young people, whew, if you could just put away even $10 a month, $10 a week, go to a financial calculator for compound interest. Okay, a retirement calculator. They're all over the internet. Ramsey has one. They're everywhere. And put in your age, and put in, just put in an amount of money that that you spend on soft drinks or whatever, just a amount that you could easily put away. Okay, let's see what it would be in 50 years if you did put it away. In a fund, just any basic index fund, the market, in the market, which generally returns 8 to 10% a year. Okay, over time, and just see what that would be with a compounded interest. And that calculator, really don't procrastinate. Do that. If you don't do anything else, if you don't even start a fund or put any money away, go to one of those calculators. Now, you may know how to do that on your own calculator. It's a little more complicated with compound interest, right? I couldn't do it. I'm too dumb. But I'm from Kentucky. Put it in there, and then you put your like $10 a week or something. What if I did put in $10 a week? It'd be simple. I wouldn't even miss it, or 50 or 100. I don't know what you wouldn't miss, and then just see what that is. Really, or you can run it out. It gives you a slot to put in 20 years. What is it in 20 years? 10 years, 50 years, 30 years. When you're 65 or whatever, and then put in. Well, let's see. Okay, this is fun. What if I really got halfway serious and put in like 10% of what I make, or 20%, or whatever? What if I stretched a little bit and put in something that I could realistically put it in there? I really could. I don't necessarily want to, or I'd have to give up a few things, but I could put in, I don't know, I don't know your income. Maybe it's $500 a month. I don't know. What could you do if you really wanted to? Put that in there and look at what that would be in 30 years or 20 years or 50. And you might just be amazed. It might be 2 million. Yeah, I mean, it might, you'll be surprised what the compound interest does. It doesn't go crazy it takes a few years to start going, but man, toward the end of that curve, it's just up. And then ask yourself, okay, well, that's pretty cool. I could get started doing that. Yeah. Or you could be like most of us, or you could be like me with the bamboo and the shrubs and the evergreens. You know, I wait 30 years before I do it, or 25. You know, I'd have, oh man, would I be happy if I had done it 10 years sooner. And of course the same with investing. I wish I'd started when I was 15 or 20 or 25. So anyway, that's my, I mean, if you don't take any other advice you've ever heard from me, that is something that, boy, will you be glad you did it. You will be so glad in 10 years and 50 years, 20 years, you will be delighted. You watch it grow and don't touch it. Don't touch it. And that's the other thing. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, just a dummy on the internet, but I have studied it a lot, read a lot. I watch a lot of other experts on it. You don't want to mess with it much at all. You don't want to start thinking you can play the stock market unless you're going to be a day trader by occupation or some crazy thing like that. Just go to one of the brokerage companies. Now, of course, you probably have a retirement fund with your employer if you're employed that way. But if you don't, or even if you do, you can go to like Schwab or well, I got one TD Ameritrade and Fidelity, but you can go to Fidelity or Vanguard, and you set it up yourself in just a few minutes. You've got an account there. You get your wife's name on if you have a spouse. You get your spouse's name on there too. So if you get hit by a truck, you know, all that kind of thing. And then you can set it up to put in automatically out of your bank account every month. And I mean, really, it is the best advice I can think to give. I wish someone had made me do it when I was 20, 30, whatever. I really do. And then just forget about it. You know, a total market index fund, S&P 500. You can't go wrong. And all these people that play the market, it's just like Las Vegas. They think they're making way more than somebody that's just putting theirs in the market in an index fund. Vanguard has proven this long ago, and and all the brokerage accounts have the same funds, but that you just put it in there and let it grow. People get rich they get rich slowly, not quickly. If someone gets rich quickly, it's an accident. You know, you can't plan that. You know, you just decide to invest in Apple or something, you know, when it's really, really low and nobody knows it's ever going to amount to anything. You can't plan that sort of thing. That's accidental for the most part. So anyway, that's my advice. Do it. Do it right now. You really, and you don't. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but you don't have to pay anybody to do this. Study it a little bit. It's not that complicated at all. Some of you are experts on your phone. You can, everybody, millennials, everybody. I mean, it's amazing what they can do on a phone, what you can find and research and do and all this kind of stuff, and set up experts. Well, how about using some of that expertise to investigate, like Fidelity or Vanguard, index funds? Go to Bogleheads. There's 2 or 3 funds. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And you can just put them in and not even worry about it, not think about it, the market. And I've studied extensively. And most of what I do is just in like a Vanguard total market fund. You know, just there you go. And you can in a bond fund. I mean, you can have 2 or 3 or whatever, or 5 or 6 if you want to. But I mean, it's so simple. It's so simple. And then just forget about it. And you don't have to pay somebody a % of everything you have. Why do you think you see all these ads? Come see us. Give us a call if you have at least $500,000 to invest, or in your retirement, or $200,000. Why would it matter? Why they want to give financial advice only if I have $500,000 or I have $200,000 or some specific number? That's weird. That's like a plumber. Like call him up. I need to come out and fix something. Well, I can only come out if you've got 3 bathrooms or 6 bathrooms and a house a certain. What? I'm going to pay you whatever you want to charge me per hour. You know, why it shouldn't matter. You know, or something like that. And well, the reason is they want to get your funds under their management, so they get a percentage of your funds, all of it, okay, to help you out, give you advice and buy and sell, and which produces fees and all that kind of thing. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. So you can do it yourself. Just put them in a fund and let it go, okay? And don't move them around. Don't be selling and buying, when the market's up and down. Just long term, 30, 40 years. I mean, if you have any kind of job at all right now, and you're in your 20s, you can pretty easily have millions when you're my age and younger than me, okay? That's just a simple fact. Put it in the calculator. All right, I know I spent a lot of time on that, but boy, there is no better advice than that, and I wish that I had been given that advice and it had been beaten into my head when I was 20, 25. Wow. I wish one of my teachers in high school, why didn't one of my math teachers in economics or in math run those numbers on the board? There were no calculators, right? Well, yeah, there were, I guess, but I mean, why didn't they run that for all of us? Say, hey folks, by the way, when you get out of high school and college, you want to start investing in almost anything that makes sense, and here's what will happen as it's compounded and as it grows 8 to 10% a year. Here's how much you can start with, and if you put this small amount in every week or month, here's what it'll be when you're 40. Here's what it'll be when you're 60. But even as dumb as I was, my eyes would have been, wow, really? You know, I can't believe that. I thought you'd be Howard Hughes to have that kind of money, you know? So, okay, got excited about that, didn't I? Let's shoot those 22. Really, if you don't ever listen to anything else you've ever heard from me, do that. And I'm talking to young people, but you know, if you're whatever, 30, 40, and you just have not done anything yet, it's never too late. Because one day you're going to be an old dude like me, and it comes before you realize. And so, you know, it also shows you what you're going to be living on, you know, when you're 65, 70, 80, whatever. And so, if nothing else, it ought to scare you. And so there's really two sides. It's a double-edged sword. It's a incredible positive thing when you see what kind of money you could have in 30 or 50 years. But it's also a rude awakening if you don't do it. You know what it costs to live, right? All right. Okay, here you go. 22. Great feeling 22. Boy, a bullseye shooter, I tell you. All right, orange 2-liter, double action. Click. All right. Pretty nice. You might see me out with this all the time now. I mean, you really might. Yeah, it's like getting a new firearm. It really was. Yeah, I guess it's like getting a new hairdo, right? For you gals or guys, but it's just a new dress. Yeah, it's kind of what grips are, really. That's why with a vintage gun, Colt single actions or something like that, whatever grips it has on it are kind of irrelevant to an extent. Now, if it has the grips that came on it, that's always nice. But people change out grips, you know, they're kind of a personal thing. And I always like, if I buy a Colt single action, I always like to have the original grips. And then even if someone has put some different grips on it, or I put some different grips on it, because I don't know if Colt offered that thing ever with stag grips on it, did they? They might have, I don't know. Generally wooden grips or the rubber. But then people would put stag or ivory or whatever on there, or some different wooden grips and that sort of thing. But usually you hang on to the old grips, the originals. I would recommend you do that in case you ever sell it, add to the value. But grips are something that people expect it to be personalized. Again, if I ran across a whatever firearm I really, really liked, an old revolver, an old one, or whatever, double action or single action, and someone had put some different grips on it that I wasn't crazy about, it wouldn't really keep me from buying it. Yeah, and it wouldn't even necessarily reduce the value that much for me, because I'm going to personalize it probably anyway, you know. So, you know, it's not a big deal. Unlike if, say it's an old Colt single action and somebody refinished it, took a blue one and nickeled it or something, you know, or I don't know, maybe you put some sights on the thing that you don't like. Of course, a Colt single action has fixed sights, but you know, so but grips, that's just they're changeable, right? That's why there's a screw that's so easily to take them off. Okay, boy, speaking of that, we've had fun this week. I tell you, I put pictures on Instagram. I got to do that more often. I'm bad about remembering that, but it's the real Hickok 45 on Instagram. I'll try to do better about that. And we did the last single shot I'd ever sell, single shot rifle. You may have seen that picture, so you know we worked on that. Also, some serious Colt single action endeavors this week. Okay, so watch for that. I might post that pretty soon. And so it's been fun. Had out some of my very favorite firearms and did several videos. So yeah, been a busy week. Lots of shooting, lots of firearms that I enjoy shooting. Not many I don't enjoy, I'll tell you. But today's pretty good. Get out a new favorite revolver, right, because of the grips, and then a Winchester Model 92. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, the big loop levers, they are cool looking, everything, but I shoot like this. I put my knuckle around them, and I wrap mine, if you can tell. If I turn the other way, can you? I grab it like that, and I wrap my fingers into the inside. I don't do like this, put them inside like a lot of people do. I kind of wrap it like that, you know. And I don't think I'd like them either way, no matter how I work the lever. But here we go recording. Yeah. But I just don't like the feel of the big ones. Even the moderately larger ones, I just don't like them. Now, I understand there's a couple of Marlins that got the ones that are not quite as big as the Rifleman's, but they're bigger. And if you're stainless, if you're hunting out in the really cold and big gloves on, yeah, I guess that's when that would shine. But unless you have a practical reason for it, be careful of that. You know, I wouldn't just order one of those with the big loop lever if you're going to shoot it a lot. Sight unseen, gun unfelt. You've not ever felt one. You might not like them. You might be like me. pity you if you're like me in any way, right? But so, have you ever seen the Rifleman up close? That rifle, how they had, speaking of friendship, they had 2 or 3 of them. They were borrowed from, I don't know which museum. I've seen them at the Cody, I guess, or the NRA Museum in Virginia. But they had them traveling museum at Friendship one year. First time I'd seen them, I guess. And then occasionally you'll catch an episode where they'll show a close-up of his rifle. And I know one of them, he's sitting on a porch there, I think, at the house, and he's working on it. He takes the screw, he's putting the screw back in and all this. And there's just a screw that comes up through the, you see, through the lever. I could do that right here, get my drill out and put a screw through here. And there's a screw, so when it comes up, it hits the trigger and makes it fire. And then he loosens that screw, so it doesn't do that, I guess. But so that's how that works. But there's a lot of what you call it, mistakes, you know, in the show. If you watch it, he will, you know, here's the bad guys coming out in the street. Well, of course this is empty, but he will do his twirling the thing around, you know, bring it around, and then pow, 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 and then as he's working the lever, it's firing. So now, how does that happen? You know, because when he twirled it around and it went up the first time, it should have fired. You know, should fire. Either the screw is in position or not to activate the trigger. That's the point I'm getting at. So when you watch that series, just keep that in mind. The trigger is either the screw is either screwed in and is activating the trigger, or it's not, one way or the other. And in some scenes you get, you know, whatever they want, both actions, you know. But yeah, it's very clear the way it's made. Just a screw going up through there and hits the trigger. And I've been noticing lately too, I don't know what the deal is, that his gun is not all that much shorter. I guess it's shorter, it's kind of a carbine, but mine, as tall as I am, mine would swing around and I don't know, almost hit my arm. I don't know, I'm not going to practice it, but I've noticed, and he obviously did a lot of practice as an actor to get that to work, because it's a real rifle. It's not a plastic rifle, I don't think, the one he's twirling. I have noticed he does it equally well with either hand. Have you noticed that? Yeah, I was thinking, what, is he left-handed? No, he'll do it right-handed and left-handed. And I know he was a professional basketball player and baseball player. He was a good athlete and all that. Apparently he was not only ambidextrous, but he could do the same thing with both hands. Yeah, so he must have been, you know, very ambidextrous. So pretty skilled, I have to say. And that show, The Rifleman, is really holds up well. Boy, great episodes, great writing, not a lot of fluff. You know, serious action, good bad guy, real bad guys. Of course, Sam Peckinpah was involved with it, no wonder. But that is one of the best series, I think, because of that. Not a lot of fluff. You know, with Bonanza and Virginia, a lot of the other shows that were more family shows, they were meant for the whole family. Even Gunsmoke, the later episodes, you would have a week where, you know, Hoss finds a bride, you know, or, you know, something like that, and it was kind of silly, you know, about every third one was, you know, something that was, okay, you know, this is not exactly gritty. The early Gunsmokes were 30 minutes. If you've seen those, where Matt Dillon was walking up to the graveyard, Boot Hill, as they open, those were, I think, 30 minutes in length, black and white, and those were more like The Rifleman. Those are pretty gritty. Those were good. That must have been like the first couple of years of that series. And then The Rifleman is great. Some of those old black and white series are the best, I think. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, there's a Model 92. Since I'm talking about that, you know, the other episode, the other show, Wanted Dead or Alive with Steve McQueen, his gun is a Model 92, you know, the cut down one. He wears it in a holster, is so cool. I've talked about that, but you might have missed a video that I did out of the 2,000 or 3,000, right? Shouldn't have, and you should feel really guilty if you've missed any of them. But that's always a funny rig when you watch. Talk about Hollywood. That is really Hollywood. Again, I just don't like those things. Mare's legs, they're the most awkward thing. I mean, give me any handgun on the planet before I want a mare's leg to try to shoot and handle and aim, hit anything with. But the funny thing about his, as a cool rig, holster and everything, is that there was never a Model 92 chambered in 45-70, and that's the rounds he has on his belt. He's got a belt full of 45-70s. And these things, they were never chambered in anything even close to that size. But it looks good on camera, doesn't it? Looks really good. So most people would not notice that or think anything about it, just as I didn't when I was a dumb kid and I had not fired a 45-70 or owned a Model 1892 or knew what they were chambered in and all that, okay? And of course the producers and the writers, they assume that most people would never know the difference, or not enough people would know the difference to make a difference. We're going to get like half the potential audience out there who say, well, I'm not going to watch that show. You guys messed up on your chambering, you know. So everybody knows that the Model 92 would not take a big old bullet like that. So that's not a big issue, right, with Hollywood. Willing suspension of disbelief. So I'm gonna let you go, and I appreciate you watching, and appreciate everybody that helps us, and appreciate you supporting the people that help us and keep it going. We're fortunate to have some really good sponsors, and just good people, and the best people though are the ones watching. Yeah, the smartest, right? The very smartest people on the planet are the folks that come and look up these dumb videos. You do have to look them up, don't you? Almost. I mean, the algorithms are they're just not suggesting, you know, a lot of gun videos, it seems, but that's just the way of the world. So and it probably is going to be more and more that way in the future. There's so many choices and so many platforms and so many videos and so many things going on that you just have to figure out what it is you want to see, watch, the same on TV, you know, the shows, you know, and then go find them. Just kind of the way we have to do now. And which is, in a way, it's good. We've always been fed, you know, when I was young, everything that happened on 3 channels, you know, you just sort of fed. Then cable comes along, about the 80s, and there's all these choices. You got to figure out what you want to go see, you know. And it's that way now, of course, if you have cable, you know, 500 channels, all these kind of things, and then some new show will come out, and they'll advertise it on several channels. You say, well, what is that? Hey, that looks pretty good. Where the heck is that? Is that on Amazon? Is that on Prime? No, it's on some network you don't get, you know, so you got to subscribe to that if you want to see this show, you know. And then 3 more come out like that, and they're on somewhere. You got to, where do I find that, you know? So I don't know, it's a little too fragmented, to tell you the truth, but that's just the way of the new world. And it's great to have that freedom. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? And all these various channels or places where somebody can show something, they can produce something and get it on there that maybe otherwise it wouldn't be available ever to anybody, you know, like westerns and shows like that that quit showing up on, of course, network or prime time main channels, whatever that means, you know, long ago. You got to go find those things, even if they're really good, you know. But all right, I'm getting to ramble too much. I'm gonna let you go. It's been good to have you over here in the woods with me, and again, I hope you didn't find any ticks on you. It's your own fault. On Sunday morning, you should get up and spray, you know, put some Avon on or some DEET or whatever it is that you have discovered keeps the mosquitoes and the ticks off of you the best. And then, you know, before you tune in, okay, because they're around here, and sometimes they can climb right up the tripod to the camera, and they will get to you. They will get to you. Yep, they will. So I hope I enjoyed friendship, and if you were there, you already know. If I had a smile on my face, if I seemed to be enjoying it, and I met you there, you already know, and I don't. That's weird. I think my brain's getting twisted. Life is good.